Today we're working on Vivaldi's Sonata in A minor, RV43. Welcome back. Welcome to the studio. My name is Cassie and I'm a professional violist and teaching artist. Today we're going to do a tutorial on the first and second movement of this sonata. So we're going to start with our first movement, and I want to talk about the rhythm in the very first measure. We've got a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th note. So to do this accurately, we're actually going to stop our bow on the string and then re-engage with our pointer finger. So it's going to feel a little bit like you're chomping your bow or you're pushing your pointer finger into the stick to re-engage it. So that looks like this. I'm going to play my first note, stop, set my second note, and make sure my bow is still engaged so I get a clean start. Stop, engage. So a little bit faster, that looks like this. Stop, stop. So let's try that a couple times. I'm just doing the four notes in the first measure. So set our first finger, ready, go. Stop, stop. Try it one more time, ready, go. Stop, stop. Now when you stop your bow, it's going to feel like there's a grip in the bow. We don't want our bow sliding all over the string. That's not going to make for a very clean start when we try to do that 16th note. So this rhythm is pervasive. It happens all over this movement. So we want to make sure that every time we have that rhythm, we stop our bow on the string. The next section I want to talk about is in measure 5. So in measure 5, we go to treble clef. And if you'd like a tutorial on treble clef to alto clef, please post a comment below just saying, I'd like that worksheet, please, and I can send that along to you. We want to make sure in measure 5 that not only are we in treble clef, but we're playing our grace notes correctly. So this is a Baroque era piece, meaning it comes from the 16 to the 1750s. It's somewhere in that era. And we want to make sure that our grace notes are longer. So it's not a quick grace note. It's a longer one. And anytime we have grace notes in this piece, it's going to be similar to that. So we want to elongate those grace notes. They're almost like a rhythm. They're just not written out as a rhythm. Similarly, in measure 15, we've got a little symbol that kind of looks like a squiggle mark. That's called a mordent. And essentially what we're doing is we're playing the printed note, the note above, back to the note. And then we sustain the printed note. So for example, in that measure, the printed note is a B. I'm going to play my B, C, B, and extend that B for the rest of the rhythm. So that measure will sound another grace note. So notice in that measure following, in measure 16, we've elongated that grace note again to be a rhythm. We also have a mordent printed in measure 25. So we're in treble clef here. So again, I'm playing E, F, low 3, back to E. So that measure again sounds. Now we're going to do our playthrough of this movement, and because it's a slow movement, we're just doing one at-tempo playthrough, and we will do the repeats. In your performance, you may choose to do them or not do them. The custom is to do usually the first repeat, but not the second repeat. But again, it's up to you. They're both printed there, so we're going to do both just to have a chance to practice them. I'm setting my metronome at quarter note equals 55, and I'll count to 4 before we begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. on to our second movement now and start with our tutorial. So I want to talk about the very first notes that we play. If you look underneath the notes is printed mezzo staccato, and I interpret that as a marcato bow stroke. So I don't want legato, smooth and connected, and I don't want super short staccato. I want somewhere in between that. So included in that difficult bow stroke that we also have a bunch of string crossing. So I want to play the first measure or so, and we're going to do it very under tempo, and we're going to really focus on our elbow bringing us to the new string level. So on the A string, my elbow's quite low. It needs to come up to get to the G string, and then back down to the A string. Same here, elbow up, elbow down, elbow up, elbow down. So that's a lot of elbow motions for a very short period of time. So we're going to try that again, and I'm just going to give the direction up or down, and you should interpret that as the motion of your elbow. So right at the beginning, elbow is down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. So every single time you've got that grouping of eighth notes, it happens a couple of times in this movement, you want to make sure that your elbow is coordinated. And you can even practice that without your left hand. So you're only doing open strings. So at the beginning it would sound like this. Up, down. Up, up, down, up, down. Up, down. Once you've got your bow coordinated, you can put your left hand back together with that, but it may take an extra step of just doing it without the fingers to coordinate what your elbow has to do, because it's kind of complicated. The next measure I want to talk about is measure 18. Remember, we're in treble clef here. So I'm starting in second position, and the reason I do that is because the mordents that we have towards the end of that measure, if I do it in first position, I'm lacking a finger. So I'm going to start on that F natural on 1, not 2. So find second position. My next note is a 2. And then I've got a mordent, so it's going to be 3 and a close 4. 2, 1. Another mordent, 2 and 3 do not touch here. And I'm going to shift back a half step for that B, then right back up, third finger on that E, 3, 4, 3. 2, 1, and then again, 2 and 3 do not touch. And then I shift back to first position. So let's try those two measures in a very, very slow tempo. Find second position with your 1. Ready, go. 1 and 2. And if you'll remember from our first movement, those grace notes, we're going to treat them like rhythms, not like grace notes. So let's try that whole thing just a little bit faster. Find second position. Ready, go. 1 and 2. So if you're having a hard time getting those mordents to go fast, I would recommend just practicing with your left hand, no bow. And then you can also practice a very, very slow tempo. And then cycle that again, 3, 4, 3. When that feels comfortable, then you can try to speed it up. But it does go pretty fast because this is a fast movement. So the more slow practice you can do, the better it'll be. The other thing you can do is just leave them out altogether, get the rhythm without the mordent. And once that feels comfortable, you can try to add one mordent in at a time. So maybe you'll just do the 3, 4, 3 one and leave the 2, 3, 2 one, the second one, out. But just piece it together little bit by little bit, as slow as possible, and then try to speed it up. Our next measure is measure 21, and I want to cover this measure because there's a really quick shift, and it's a little tricky. So when we start this measure, I'm on my open G. Again, we're in treble clef here. My next note's in third position. Still third position, I'm crossing to a 4. Now my last note, I have to shift backwards to second position, and it's very, very quick. So we're going to practice that right on that first finger C that I just played, and I'm going to move up to the A string, still in third position, and then shift backwards to that C. So again, we're starting in third position, transferring to the A string, still in third position, and then shifting backwards to second position for that 1. So let's try that together. First finger on C, go up to the A string, shift backwards. Try that again. Now all of that has to happen in a split second. So we're going to go from the beginning of the measure under tempo, and I'll talk us through that, the last 2 notes of the measure. So open G, third position, cross 4, third position, second position. So hopefully with a little bit of slow practice, that'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Once we're in second position, we're there for a little while until we shift again. The last measure I want to go over is measure 29, and we have a sequence of shifts here as well, and we're in treble clef again. So we're starting on open A, then a quick shift to third position, but it's a sharp one. Then we're going to shift again to that F sharp. So let's try that together. Open A and 2. Find D sharp. And then we're shifting again to that F sharp. Now notice that time I sounded that last shift, and that's to help me feel the distance between those 2 notes. So let's do that together, sounding the shift. And 2. D sharp. Sound your shift. Now luckily we've just played that F sharp in the previous 3 notes. So when I'm in third position on D sharp, I'm playing that F sharp already. So I got to kind of hold that in my ear and match it when I shift up there. The only thing that's going to help us there is sounding that shift a bunch of times using a tuner. If you're not quite sure how to hear that pitch, you can hear it. And then the last thing that we could do is actually play it with open A string. So I'm starting from that D sharp third position. I'm shifting up. And I'm going to play my open A string with it. I was a little out of tune that time, so I'm going to do it again. Sound that shift. So you'll know that you're in tune when the wobbles in the sound or the wave interference kind of calms itself down. We want the waves to kind of go in unison. If there's too much wave interference, it sounds like this, and you can tell that it kind of sounds out of tune. So you can hear it kind of gets a little bit more wobbly. Ba, 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 ba. There's lots of wave interference. That's how we can tell if we're in tune or not. So again, take that section, sound your shift a bunch of times, use a tuner, but it is tricky because it goes pretty fast there. So that's something to watch out for. So because this is our fast movement, we're going to do a slow playthrough and then a fast playthrough. So my metronome is set at 60, that's my quarter note. And I'll count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we begin on the end of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to do our fast playthrough. My metronome marking is quarter note equals 80, and I'll be just repeating the first part, not the second part. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Joining me today. If you'd like a tutorial and a playthrough of the third movement, please post a comment down below. I'm happy to make that video for you. I hope you found this really useful, and if you have any questions or comments about any of the other stuff in either of the first two movements, please let me know. Happy practicing.